Hello and a very warm welcome. Driver ratings for the Austrian Grand Prix, and what an epic Grand Prix it was. All 20 drivers covered. 0 is shit. 10's phenomenal. It's 10 galores at Austria. There's harsh ratings for Haas, Force India, Renault and Toro Rosso. Max and Leclerc superb, and thank the Lord the stewards don't give a penalty. You can't give a penalty. The emotion, the celebration. You've got a Honda guy crying because Honda haven't won it as an engine in so long. You've got Max celebrating, the Dutch. And then even if you gave a post-race penalty, Charles Leclerc can't enjoy his win because you're robbing him of celebrating with a team on the podium. Celebration on the radio, crossing the line first, hearing his national anthem. So it is the right decision, and Max keeps his Austrian win. He was phenomenal. I mean, here we go, all 20 drivers covered. What an epic race. Now we're going to start with Williams, and I find every week I say this, I'm like a parrot repeating myself. I find it very, very difficult to mark the Williams. I just do. Like the others, not so much, but the Williams, it's so hard to mark because they're so far off the pace. Although George Russell had a great weekend in the race. So, Robert Kubica, 2 out of 10. I feel really, really sorry for the Polishman. He basically comes to every single weekend. He qualifies last, he finishes last. It's basically a test experience. He's just enjoying being back in F1. Are the rumours true that Latifi's going to replace him? I don't know. It really does remind me of Michael Schumacher. Before, like your first stint in F1, phenomenal, great. I've just got a message up on my computer. Go away. Yeah, before he came to F1, he was great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Put him in a decent car, he probably would still be great, but Schumacher came back, wasn't the same. It looks like we've got that with Kubica. So yeah, very disappointing. If I keep flicking back, Kubica, yeah, 20th quali. George Russell, now I'm going to give him 6. And yes, his qualifying was not good. He blocked Danny Kvyat. He took a penalty. He started from the pit lane. But I've seen something. George Russell passed Danny Kvyat and Robert Kubica like in one. Double slipstream, went round the outside. I mean, he beats, double overtake. He beats Kevin Magnussen in the race. Russell's 18th. So yeah, I give him 6. Right, on to Romain Grosjean, 2 out of 10. Quali was good. He was P11. And the race pace again, Haas F1, awful. When you think about Haas F1, last year at Austria they finished 4th and 5th. This year they're 16th and 19th in the race. Wow, just wow. Right, Kevin Magnussen, I give him 3. And the only reason I've given 3 is because he had one hell of a qualifying. He qualifies, let me flick back, P5 I believe it was. Yeah, he qualified P5. He then got a penalty, 5 place grid penalty, so that dropped him to 10th. And then in the race, he just went backwards. George Russell in a Williams had better pace than Kevin Magnussen. George Russell in a Williams beat Kevin Magnussen. Haas F1 are awful in race pace. They're awful on the tyres. It's not good. So that's why they get marked down. Right, on to Force India. Lance Stroll, 2 out of 10. Once again knocked out in Q1. Are you surprised? If you are, you shouldn't be. Strolly, he gets 17th in qualifying. He finishes 14th in the race. We hardly saw him on the TV. Were he actually at Austria? And yeah, Sergio Perez, 2 out of 10. Very average for Racing Point, Force India, whatever the fuck they're called. Very average. Hardly saw them on TV. Perez finishes P11, just outside the points actually. So maybe 2's a bit harsh, but I mean, I just feel like they were nowhere. So, on to Renault now. Daniel Ricciardo, 2. Again, same as Force India. Really poor, no pace. Daniel Ricciardo looked just nowhere. I mean, he qualified 14th. Obviously got up to about 12th at the race start because of the penalties. Then he finishes 12th. It's an average weekend. They were great at Paul Ricard. They were shocking at Austria. Ricciardo finishes 12th in the race. Nico Hulkenberg, 2. We've got a lot of 2s, especially with the Renault, Hasses, Toro Rossos, and there's one more team. Racing Point. Yeah, Hulkenberg 2, just poor. Renault really poor. Struggled all weekend. They had problems with their DRS in practice. Like, really, like, when you open DRS, it's not meant to flap around like it did. So yeah, P13 for Hulk. Have a quick drink. On to Toro Rosso. Alexander Albon, 2 out of 10. A lot of 2s. But I mark these drivers how I see it. People say I'm favouring Lewis Hamilton. People say I've got a hate campaign against Pierre Gasly. This is not true. This is not true. Like I say, do shit, you'll get drop marks. I don't care who you are, whether you're Max, Leclerc, Hamilton. If you do well, you get a good mark. I mean, I say it how it is. I'm not here to favour drivers. Who did we get to? Albon, 2 out of 10. Took a penalty, no race pace, P15. Danny Kvyat, 2. Blocked in qualifying, massively. George Russell, don't know what he was doing, scratching his ass on the apex. Kvyat's coming round turn 9, although it probably is turn 8, but the corners are fucked at Austria. And yeah, I mean, it could have been an aeroplane accident. No pace in the race, P17. I mean, yeah, very tough. Now, finally, we get out of the 2s. 2. Right. Oh, fuck off. Is that a message to put my charger in? Maybe. Better put my charger in quickly. Right, on to some positive ratings. Just stick my charger in case my laptop does go off. I don't think it was for my battery, but anyway. Here we go. Right. Max, 10 out of 10. It's a Dutch masterclass once again. He had everything. He had, well, to start, in practice too, he had a big off. Again, last corner, knocked his rear wing off. Half the rear wing was missing. That's his probably big mistake. Like, it was a big mistake actually by Max, but he comes back. He qualifies 3rd. Gets promoted to 2nd with Hamilton's penalty. Gets the worst start you're ever likely to see. I think he's been getting lessons off Mark Webber, it was that bad. He drops to 7th, behind his teammate. He then laps his teammate. It's a masterclass. It's an overtaking lesson. Delights the Dutch crowd. He beats Gasly. He wins the race. He gets the fastest lap. It was a world-class performance by the Dutch superstar. The way it's like, that's where he differs for me. He had to get past Norris and Kimi quickly, otherwise he was never winning. Like, he was never getting a great result. He gets past Norris and Kimi quickly. Then he didn't need to pass Hamilton. He gets past Vettel, gets past Bottas, and then a robust move on Charles Leclerc, but was for the race win. I saw nothing wrong with it. I'm glad the stewards didn't penalise it. So 10 out of 10 for the Dutchman. Now, Pierre Gasly, 1. And it could easily be 0. I mean, he's got to be dropped now. Enough is enough. 9 races down. It's, honestly now, it's no hate campaign against Gasly. Every man and their dog knows he should be dropped by now. It's not a hate campaign. It is painful now. It's painful to watch. He looks out of his depth. I just want to see him back in Toro Rosso, get some confidence behind his F1 career again, because he looks broken. I mean, he was ahead of Max at the start, and then it takes him an absolute age to get past Kimi Räikkönen, and then all race long stuck behind Norris. And then to top it all off, Max wins the race. Max laps Gasly. beaten by Alphas. He got beat by, in qualifying, he got beat by Alphas, McLaren. Who else? There was another one. Haas. He qualifies 9th. He gets beat by both Alphas, a McLaren, a Haas. And then in the race, he gets beat by Norris, doesn't he? So, finishes a minute behind Max, a lap down. He's got to be demoted now. If you haven't watched my video of me talking about Gasly, feel free to do so on the channel. Right, Lewis Hamilton, 5 out of 10. And there you go. I do mark Lewis Hamilton down. And why do I mark him down? Yes, he got P2 in qualifying, pulled a sensational lap out of nowhere really, because he never looked like getting P2. It was a very good qualifying, but it's what you call, if you're not a Lewis Hamilton fan, it's what you call an off weekend for Lewis Hamilton. He's on the radio all the time, he's moaning, he's whining. It's what you call an off weekend. He has these weekends, and it was another off weekend. We've not seen many this season, but turn 1 in the race, he was comfortably in P3. He ran wide at turn 1 5, 6, 7, 8 times. The TV coverage kept showing it, and then he comes on the radio complaining about a wing, and the bottom line is that he damaged the wing and had to change it. So for me, that is an average weekend for Lewis Hamilton, and he loses points in the championship. But in his interviews, he just looks like, well, Bottas ain't good enough to beat me, I've won this championship already. And for me, that's actually not the right attitude, because you never know what can happen. Bottas, 7. He had a big spin in FP... Well, it wasn't a spin, it was a crash. FP2, coming round turn 5, went in the gravel, knocked both tyres off. But a podium for Valtteri Bottas, decent point, closes the gap on Lewis Hamilton. So all in all, a good weekend. Vettel, 7. Yeah, he did have a spin. Exactly when Max went off. It was weird, FP2. FP2 more entertaining than the French Grand Prix. Max went off, Vettel went off, Bottas. So yeah, spinning FP2. Ferrari looking strong. He has an issue in qualifying, which wasn't his fault. Then a great fight back in the race. Passed Hamilton late on, put some fresh tyres on. Didn't have the tyres ready at the first stop. All in all, a decent fight back by Vettel. Charles Leclerc, 10 out of 10. Dominated all weekend. Pole position is second for Ferrari. Should have been his first win for Ferrari. Led 68 laps, 69 laps. Beat Seb all weekend. It's a positive weekend for the Monegasque. He was very angry after the race. He thought Max's move wasn't fair, but he finishes second. That is official. Max keeps his win. Kimi Raikkonen, 8 out of 10. Solid drive, good qualifying and race. He had great battles with Lando Norris and Gasly. And yeah, it was a good weekend for Raikkonen actually. He qualifies 7th. He finishes 9th. Now we're going to do it. It's his first points in Formula 1. Antonio Giovinazzi. For the whole Giovinazzi, I'm going to talk in this accent, because let's give him some credit and a round of applause. It's his first points in Formula 1. Magnificent, Antonio. Magnificent. I am so proud of you. You had a good qualifying, your first points in Formula 1. You qualified P8. Very good for the Alphas. You beat Gasly in quali, and then you held off Checo Perez for your first point in Formula 1. Your qualifying has been superb over the last 3 races, and finally it delivers in the Grand Prix. Yeah, well done, Antonio. Right, back to the normal accent. Bit of banter. Holy moly, this has probably been the longest driver ratings, but we've gone into detail with every driver. So, last but not least, the McLaren. Lando Norris, the future world champion, the future of F1. I loved that at the start of the race. by Norris. Amazing all weekend. Where did he qualify? He qualifies 6th. Obviously goes up to 5th with Magnussen's penalty. And then at the start, Lando Norris goes down the inside of Lewis Hamilton. What is he doing? In the McLaren, goes for it. It was amazing. Then Kimi went round the outside of him. He had a great battle with Kimi Räikkönen. Finally got past Kimi Räikkönen. I mean, I really do like Lando Norris. He's amazing over one lap. He's a good little racer. And he doesn't care about who he's going up against. Hamilton, world champion. Räikkönen, world champion. Great to see. McLaren really improved. They were good in Paul Ricard. They're good at Austria. Best of the rest, he finishes P6. He's a future world champion. And at the start, he was epic. And last but not least, Carlos Sainz. 10 out of 10. What a performance. What a performance by the Spaniard. He's sensational. If Max and Leclerc are getting credit for a sensational drive, you are giving this Spaniard. He's just sensational. He qualifies 15th. He has a penalty. We know he has a penalty. It's like bittersweet for Carlos because McLaren had so much pace. Just think where he could have been. He could have been up there with Norris. Last to P8. P8. He finishes P8. This is incredible. Amazing drive. McLaren are looking strong. Carlos Sainz, P8. It's just incredible. So we'll quickly run down. Robert Kubica 2, George Russell 6, Romain Grosjean 2, Kevin Magnussen 3, Lance Stroll 2, Sergio Perez 2, Daniel Ricciardo 2, Hülkenberg 2, Albon 2, Kvyat 2, Max 10, Pierre Gasly 1, Lewis Hamilton 5, Valtteri Bottas 7, Sebastian Vettel 7, Charles Leclerc 10, Kimi Räikkönen 8, Antonio Giovinazzi 8, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz 10 out of 10. Oh, Jesus. And there we have it. That is driver railings for the Austrian Grand Prix. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Comment down below. We'll always reply. And that is qualifying reaction, race reaction, driver ratings done. The Austrian Grand Prix weekend is done. And then we go on to my favourite Grand Prix of the year next. Silverstone. Built on a disused airfield. If you don't like Silverstone, you don't like F1. Arguably has the best sequence of corners on the calendar. Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, through Chapel, onto the Hangar Straight, open that DRS, down into Stowe, Club, Vale, back across the start finishing line for Abbey at 195 mile an hour. Can't wait for Silverstone. That is Austrian driver ratings done. And yeah, a lot of 10s, a lot of 2s. Thanks for watching. Adios. And Austria won an epic Grand Prix. It had everything. Battles, overtakes, ballsy moves, tyres not ready, front wings broken, spins, crashes, Formula 2, Formula 3 and Formula 1, all epic races. That is Formula 1. And I'm so glad Max never got a penalty. That is the right decision. Thanks for watching. Comment down below. We'll always reply. Adios, adios, adios.